This is the hot topic in our country right now. And I say this being half white, half black. You hear people talk about privilege, oh, they're privileged, they have privilege. And I've even heard people say, well, it's unfair that I had to work 100 times harder than that person to get where they are. And for me, nothing is ever going to be fair. Life just isn't fair. I learned that shit back at 5 years old. But where I have the mentality of, if I had to work 100 times harder than you to get to where I am, my attitude also is, I'm also 100 times better than you, because you didn't have to do the things that I did to get to where we are. So I just adopt the mentality of, what's my mindset when I'm getting there? Mindset, choices, and hard work equals success. Mindset for me is just, how do I continue to strive to get to where I want to go? And I hate the way we've destroyed the word privilege in our country. I've got 4 kids. I don't ever want my kids to feel embarrassed because they live this life that they're in. That's bullshit to sit there and say that somebody that comes from a 2-parent home, lives in a great community, goes to private, oh, they're privileged. That it shouldn't be said to be a negative thing. Yes, they are well off. Yes, they were born into a great set of parents. But what a lot of people miss on this, I feel privileged to have been born into the circumstances I was born into, because I learned so much shit that most people are never going to know in this world.
Nope. They'll never have the thick skin you have, or the work ethic you have, or the calm and cool attitude under pressure of not getting stressed out and breaking that you've experienced. That's exactly the point. You hit it right on the nail, that nobody knows how people got successful or where they come from or what's going on. And it's hard to label privilege. And you're right. You wouldn't change it, because I love my kids dearly. And where I have failed a little bit is maybe giving a little too much, where it's hard for them to stand on their feet. My kids are a little older than yours. So my oldest daughter, she is a wonderful mother, right? She is great. She's got a 1.5-year-old daughter, and she's pregnant again, but she struggles to adult. Like, what do I want to do, as I grow up, Dad? And I said, look, honey, right now it doesn't matter. And where I have failed is I have coddled and been there every single time, rather than making them tough or learn things like we've had to learn, especially with your situation. Like, you have got to overcome things. And for our kids, it's going to be a little harder, but that's why we overcame it. That's why we worked our ass off. So they didn't have to. And that doesn't make them privileged, because they're a part of us who have worked our asses off to put them in that position. And I'm a big believer, like you said, if you've got to work 1,000 times harder than somebody else, like you just said, to have that position, not only are you 1,000 times better, but then you 1,000 times deserve it, because nobody wants anything given to them, because then they know they always screw it up. They don't know how to appreciate it. I always say this and people get upset, but self-made is so much different than silver spoon. And I love when I'm around Silver Spoon, I'm like, look, I eat dudes like this for breakfast. Like, I love that shit. And there was a time early on in my career, I was intimidated. I was intimidated by people who worked for me, who had a college education, or even had a real high school education, or they had an MD, whatever it was. I used to be intimidated, like, these guys are so much better than me. And then eventually I had to break as I was a young entrepreneur and go, no, this is my show. This is my deal. You work for me. There's a reason for that. I've got to be the leader that you need me to be. So I completely changed my attitude and came in and was like, look, this is what we're doing. I don't give a shit what my background is or your background is. We're doing it this way. We're going to be successful this way. You're either in or you're out. And it kind of gave me that mentality over time, where now I'm never insecure about that. But I had to struggle through that. Did you have to struggle through that early on in your career?
Oh, man. Matter of fact, it wasn't until, I'd say, the last 4 years that actually went away. So my co-founder, Tucker Max, so I grew up completely in my business career intimidated by who had a degree, who had the letters after their names, because I didn't have those things. You heard me joke earlier. I said, long before I had the current 3 letters after my name, CEO, I had 3 other letters. They were GED. And so that's the only letters I had. But I was always intimidated by people who had those academic credentials. And Tucker pulled me aside one day. And keep in mind, Tucker went to the University of Chicago and has a law degree from Duke. So this is someone who's highly educated and has some serious names after his name. And he pulled me to the side and he said, hey, man, I want you to know something. All those people that you think you're intimidated by, they're actually more intimidated by you. And I go, how's that? He goes, because they're wondering, wow, did I just get here because of who my parents are? Did I get here because I'm a legacy person and that's how I got into college? Because my dad knew this person who got me an interview and I got, so they're always wondering, are they truly as good as they are? Or did they get there because so many doors were automatically open for them? They said they're intimidated of you because they see where you came from and they know that you actually know some shit.
Now, let's hear from our sponsors. No, dude, he said that perfect on. I never looked at it that way. And that's a good way to look at it. I looked at it similar to where it was they invested their money. Maybe they're in debt from going to college and they're not using that degree working for me. So they've got to be intimidated. I had to turn my brain on to go, how can I control this situation? Because I would have to do a sales meeting early on in home security and look at guys that not only were older than me by 10 or 15 years, but like you said, had letters after their name because they had college degrees somewhere. And I was intimidated for a while. And then eventually I was like, I can't, there's a reason they work for me. I've got to own the room. And you get through moments in life. It just doesn't turn on and it stays that way forever. You'll meet people along the way. At least I believe this. And as people evolve, you meet people and you go, well, I'm a little intimidated by that guy. Like, that guy's worth billions. And dude, I might be a millionaire. I ain't a billionaire. But I had that recently. I got to sit down and do a roundtable with President Trump about solar energy. And it was right before he caught COVID. But I was in a room with a lot of people. One of them was from Texas. I'm trying to remember her name, Kathy Adams or something. She owns a bunch of oil. She was best friends with Jerry Jones. But some of these people I met with, they were all billionaires. And I'm like, I had about 15 seconds, JT, where I was there and I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. I had to pinch myself. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the restroom. I had to throw water on my face. This just happened. And go, hold on, Jay, get your shit together. Like, what are you doing? Like, dude, you're self-made. You run almost $1 billion company, does 800 million in revenue. You built it from the ground up. You didn't have to go to school. Everything's on experiences and hard work. You've done everything you're supposed to do. You run a podcast. Get out there and own the damn room, right? And to get back out there, I'm chest bumping, high-fiving, elbowing. Like, this is my shit, right? And I'm telling people, like, yeah, I'm Jayson Waller. So, yeah, I let them know. And
solar energy, damn it.
That's right, baby. Like, bam, I let them know. Like, that's what we're doing. And, same thing when the president came out and, whether you're voting Republican or Democrat's irrelevant. My whole argument to him, and it really wasn't an argument. He listened and we had a great 12-minute conversation, which was amazing. I got to explain to him that solar is not Republican or Democrat, it's American. And that and people got to quit trying to use it against each other. And I had him agree. And we wanted to get a soundbite that we can put at the end of our website. And like, hey, even President Trump loves American solar, right? Whatever we could do to help the business. But I watched him help a few people out that I was told from the RNC chair, Ronna McDaniel, like, all right, well, you might not get to talk to him because, there's 25 people at that round table. And I said, nah, girl, I'm a bully. I'm going to talk to him, right? So I'm not the guy that comes up from Harvard and does this. Hi, Mr. President. I'm like, Mr. Trump, Jayson Waller here. Like, I let him know, right? But you have that same energy and charisma. And that's what makes people like you and me, in my opinion, really great to be an entrepreneur and a vision for the company, because we're using, and you especially, experience and failures and being told no and things you've had to overcome and intimidation, whether it be you're intimidated by someone who's got a college education or more experience than you, or intimidated by someone who had more money than you, or intimidated by anything. They lived in a better lifestyle than yours. All of those things molded you, JT, to be who you are, to be so successful, to have a wonderful family, to have 4 beautiful kids, to be able to help 1,700 writers write a book and do something they want to do in their life. I mean, think about this. You got a GED and you own a company that allows people to write books, dude. Like, that's like full circle legit right there, right?
A big one for me, Jayson, is as a kid, some of the schools I went to, they were so bad that the teachers did not allow the students to take their books home at night for fear that the books wouldn't come back. And now I sit here and I'm like, and now we publish books. And it's just, hey, as I say, God bless America. It's where else could that happen, that a kid comes from where I come from to where I am? But you said it, man. I have had at times been intimidated, but I've always continue to believe in myself. And even with the circumstances that I've gone through, I've always said, okay, how can I make that circumstance serve me? People are a little put off by this, but even being sexually molested by one of my dad's prostitutes from ages 6, 7, and 8 years old, she used to force me to perform oral sex. And if I didn't do it right, she'd smack me in the face, punch me in the head, and tell me do it right. I mean, man, I'm 6, 7, 8 years old. I don't know what do it right means. But I do remember 8 years old. I remember saying to myself one time in between the beating, I am never going to be in a position in life where I don't know what to do.